What's going on, everybody? Paul Hickey here with NoOffSeason.com. Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show, episode 70. We were just talking about how early it is, and it's my fault that we do the show this early. But welcome to the show, Rob, not Bob, Masora, and my main man, lefty, Kendall McKee. What's up, guys?
What's up,
Morning.
Rob, not Bob?
Just wanted to clarify after last time. So
That's totally fair, man. I mean, you run a business called Bob's Card Markets, so
I know that doesn't make it easy, does it?
Rob is from bobscardmarket.com. They are a friend of the show, sponsor of the show. We want to talk to Rob about a bunch of stuff. Have him be a co-host today, as well as talk about things that are going on at Bob's Card Market. But first, I just want to give a shout out to the unofficial sponsor of the show, Nike, because
I know, right?
Rob and I are both kind of
Kendall, what do you got? Nike on? No,
no
nothing.
swoosh, no swoosh.
I think it's like Columbia. So
okay. Well, my family makes fun of me all the time because I basically only own Nike clothing. So one of the perks of working at home, I can just wear whatever I want. I don't have to.
Amen.
We work from home. We don't have to conform to what we don't want to conform to. But anyway, fellas, happy Sports Card Strategy Show, episode 70. Everybody out there watching and listening, hope you're doing well. We got a great show. I'm pumped today. I want to talk about a lot of good stuff we've got going on in sports and in sports cards. But first, I want to say, don't forget that you can go premium free for a year at nooffseason.com. To find out how, email me at paul@nooffseason.com. Many of you have been doing that, and I love it. I love interacting with all of you via email or via the Facebook group. There's a Facebook group. You can go to sportscardstrategy.com and join the Facebook group. And there's also quick links there on joining us in a bunch of other places on social media. But before we jump into the show today, let's get an update on Bob's Card Market. How are things going on the Discord channel, Rob?
Things are going great as always. Never a dull moment in Bob's Card Market. We are gearing up. March 18th, I think it is our third year anniversary, whatever you want to call it. So we got a lot of fun stuff planned for that day. Basically, we have all of our stuff that normally goes on throughout the week. We stop doing that, and then we compile it all into one day on that Saturday. So, like, for example, like fire sales, one person's going to be running a fire sale like all day. We're going to have, progressives. You guys asked about that last time. One person is going to be running as many progressives as possible. All of our breakers are just going to be breaking all day. It's just one action-packed day. So that's what we're gearing up for. But other than that, we're getting a lot of new members, probably 10, 15, 20 a week, which is awesome.
That's amazing.
Both from you guys and other areas. So it's
that's probably from us, Bob.
Yeah, it's Rob.
I mean, Rob.
He's even got it out there on the.
I mean, it's right there.
God dang it.
It's right there, Kendall.
Hey, it's early, all right?
I know it's early, and it's my fault that the show is early. But, we've been getting a good response from the audience with the early show, so we appreciate that. Brian Steeler 714, hope you're doing well this week. My friend, good morning to you as well. He says, good morning, my Bowman brothers. Love that. Oh, my shoes. Good morning to you as well. But Rob, that sounds amazing. The birthday. So March 18th, that's a Saturday. Is that right?
Yep, it is. So
Saturday. So everybody check, mark your calendars, everybody, for March 18th. Make sure you join Bob's Card Market if you're not already a member.
Get it. Now's the perfect time to get in and just get your feet wet, so kind of know the lay of the land and what's going on, and then ready to go for all the action on the 18th.
Yeah, and go back and listen to episode, I think it was 66 or 67 that Rob was on with us, where we gave a breakdown of Discord, basically. And, Rob did a great job breaking it down. But he's gonna be like the third man in for the show today, and he's gonna participate in all of our segments. So, but continue to drop knowledge throughout the show, Rob, about what's happening at bobscardmarket.com. And I think just a quick note for any of you who are in the Nashville area or anywhere close to Middle Tennessee. I think Rob and I are maybe going to try to go together to. There's a show called The National. At is it the Tennessee State Fairgrounds or the Nashville Fairgrounds? Is that right?
Yep. That's right. Yep.
So I think
it's the 10th and 11th and 12th, I think. March 10th and 11th, 12th.
Yep. Coming up in a couple weeks, March 10th, 11th, 12th. I think we might try to get there on the 10th because I'm actually going to be out of town, headed up to Michigan on the 11th to visit my family. So I won't, for any of you that are going to be there on the 11th or 12th, let me know how it ends up going. But if you want to go on the 10th, I'm going to try to go on the 10th, and hopefully Rob will be able to join me as well. We'll be able to meet up in person. And Kendall, I know you're actually not too far away.
I was like sick and right. That's cool.
Why don't you drive down and join us, brother?
I think I might. I'm off that day, so
perfect.
Hey, no excuse. Well, actually, just ask Katie.
Excuses, but I see what I can do. I mean, it's worth looking into for sure.
Yeah, exactly. There could be plenty of excuses, but anyway, Oh My Shoes says the episode that I was talking about is a fun one. To go back and check out the Discord channel, bobscardmarket.com is the short link. You'll see a link there. If you go there, you'll see a link to join the Discord channel. Chad Gill, good morning, my man. Shout out to Chad. Chad's actually announcement here that I haven't told anybody yet, so you're all learning about it here for the first time, including Kendall, is that Chad, this actually plays into my L of the week. So let me do my L of the week, and then we're going to make an announcement here. So the announcement, my L of the week is that I think I've missed out on catering to a potential segment of our audience that maybe I've put some people off because I talk so much about flipping, and I basically just, I only talk about flipping and investing, and I make it very clear that that's what the show's about. And so I think maybe some people who are hardcore collectors maybe tune out the show or don't give it a chance because, we don't really talk about we mention collecting every once in a while. But I had a talk with our friend of the show, Chad Gill. And for those of you who haven't noticed, Chad drops so many valuable comments in the comments all the time.
Absolutely.
And so he and I have been having some offline discussions, and we spoke last week. And Chad is going to contribute to nooffseason.com. He's already started contributing to nooffseason.com, dropping me some amazing content. So I've updated many of the plays for the premium members thanks to Chad over the weekend, because he was just emailing me a ton of great stuff that he's noticed. But we're going to start a new segment next week with Chad called Flip to Fund Your PC. And so Chad and I talked about this, and he was like, he said, I've talked to some friends of mine who would be listeners of the show, but they essentially are more collectors. But what they don't realize is that they're flipping a ton and they're making some amazing plays so that they can fund their PC. And so what we're going to do, and so Chad was telling me a lot of the stuff that he's been doing. And so we're going to bring Chad into the second half of some of the shows moving forward. And we're going to have him share with us some of his amazing plays that he's been making to profit from flipping sports cards, and then use that to fund his PC or make suggestions for those of you out there who are more collectors than you are flippers, but that you want to flip to fund. So we're going to call it flip to fund your PC. And good morning, Chad Gill. So Vijay Patel, good morning to you as well. Great to see all you guys. We're going to jump into it. So Kendall, let's do your L of the week next. You got an L for us?
Yeah, I do, man. I do. My L is that I have been slammed with work outside of sports cards, and there's been so much cool stuff that's happened in the last week. Like, I was able to, I told you guys a couple weeks ago, I listed a bunch of cards on eBay, and a bunch of those have moved, which I've been real thankful for. A lot of soccer cards have been moving, way more than during the World Cup. I don't know what's going on.
I've noticed that too. I've noticed.
Really?
But I've moved a ton of soccer cards. So that's not an L of the week. But I guess just the L of the week is that I've just been slammed with stuff, man. I have a bunch of W's though, but that's my L is that I've just been cooked. I mean, like
Actually,
VJ has
that
sent me
L.
like he sent me like 3 or 4 voice messages asking me about baseball cards, and I'm just like, bro, I honestly I can't even reply to you yet. Like, it's not that I'm ignoring you. Please keep asking me questions. I've been slammed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I like that L actually because it's something that we all probably have.
It's real life.
It's real life. Very few of us do this for a full-time job. I mean, I'm now getting to the point where I'm fortunate enough where it probably could be my full-time job, but it's not. I mean, it is a full-time job, but it's not my only full-time job, which answers Rob's question about why the show's so early in the morning. But anyway,
no, I hear you. We all got these jobs we got to get to, so
yeah,
it's good.
mean, we live in the U.S., so things are expensive.
Rob, I want to hear about this sneaky slab that's popping out of the box back here.
Oh, it's the John Morant Luminance rookie.
Nice.
Oh, is that the dunk?
It's just there's so much other stuff in the box that's popping out, so it doesn't fit in the box. But it's stuff I got to scan and list.
I thought you were like displaying it.
No, it's just not fitting nicely in there.
Well, shout out VJ Patel as well. Kendall mentioned VJ. He's the running card collector on Instagram with some underscores in there somewhere. And VJ does a great job helping me. Actually, he's helped me with nooffseason.com. We want to get him more involved. So VJ, you might be hearing about VJ more often as well, in addition to Chad. And L of the week, life takes over. So Rob, not Bob. What is your L of the week, my man?
Can we call you R&B?
Whatever you want to call me, Kendall, doesn't matter.
Except for Bob. I can't call you Bob.
Except Bob. My L of the week is Series 1, 2023 Top Series 1. I was going into last week super excited about it. The checklist came out of the gates very strong, and I mean it's still strong, it didn't change, but it's a great checklist for rookies. And I actually got allocation for the first time in like years, and I haven't been trying very hard to be honest with you, but I was like, Series 1 was on pre-order. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. So I ordered a case of jumbos and a case of hobby and ended up getting 9 cases of hobby out of all that. So, which is better than nothing. I've never gotten allocation from the distributor since we became a official business. So I was really excited about it going in, and then we got the product. You can still see some of it behind me. 2 of the boxes ended up being damaged, like the corners were smushed. So I'm like, there's that. And then I did a break on Discord with 3 of the boxes, and I was just very underwhelmed with the product. And I know there's a lot of talk out there, jumbos are the way to go based on odds. And retail is going to be struggling a little bit, and hobbies are better than last year in terms of print run, in terms of odds. But I mean, we opened 3 hobby boxes and maybe pulled a couple golds, a handful of rainbow foils, a couple other like those orange and green ice parallels, whatever you want to call them. And it was just not exciting. I mean, you got paper of the rookies, but I was just very underwhelmed. So that's my all of the week.
Well, congratulations on getting an allocation. That's pretty cool. Sorry that the boxes weren't what you had hoped for. Kendall, what did you like? Do you get allocations or no?
I wish we had. I probably honestly should talk more to Rob about how to get.
Yeah, I would like to know started. If you could share that.
But man, I have not got my hands on a box because of how how busy I've been. But I've been watching it really closely, and one of our guys here at Just Baseball ripped a jumbo, and like the one, oh frick.
Yeah, 2 of them were like that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do with that one?
I don't know. I emailed the distributor to see what we can do about it, but we'll see.
And so so my friend Colby opened a box, and he was so, like, all of us have been so pumped. This checklist, like you said, is stacked. I mean, it's a stacked checklist. Like rookie cards all over the place. And of course it's a Topps series, and so it's like tons and tons and tons of paper. Like I just don't love this product to begin with, but it's like it's so appealing because of the checklist.
Right.
So it's like we dipped our toes in it, and we're probably going to open it as well. We're probably going to do some cheap breaks with it as well.
They have to print a lot of it because it's the one product that everyone's got it. Like
it's retail,
young collectors, they need everyone to be able to get it.
Sure.
Because it is the flagship product. And another reason I was really excited is it's like the first product that's been all Fanatics. Like this is their first inaugural product of them being in control of Topps. So the quality is great. I mean, the cards are nice. Like it's not, I think there's been a little uptick in quality control, but everything else was
Chad,
not too exciting.
I mean, not that you didn't have, you know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, there's a good example. No hits. I mean, we were fortunate to. I mean, you get an auto or a relic in each box, and we got a couple autos. But I mean, to be honest, I never heard these guys that we got autos of.
Yeah.
So, who are the guys in the checklist that you're excited about, Kendall? Some of the guys.
Like, shoot, now I'm drawing a blank. I'm sure Rob has got it.
You got Adley Rutschman.
Yeah, Rutschman.
Henderson are the two. So Orioles and breaks are huge. Mm-hmm. Michael Harris from the Braves.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw him play live. He's legit.
Yeah, rookie of the year.
Yeah, we're drawing blanks.
I'll pull it up in a second.
There's like 5 more that are
too early.
So those are all RC guys, right?
Yeah.
And probably some autos of them in there somewhere that no one got in this conversation. Or sorry, Chad. Sorry, Rob. But that's good. So, all right. Well, Southern Soccer Idiot's here.
Oh man, is he?
So he's dropping another L for you, Kendall. Looks like.
Okay. Timeout. Yes, Liverpool beat us 2-0. The derby was awful. I'll give you that. We're a team that's struggling bottom of the table. I did not expect us to beat Liverpool anyway. But we had a huge 1-0 win on Saturday against Leeds United to pull us out of the relegation zone. So that is what he's leaving out. Southern Soccer Idiot decides to not talk about Everton's win that gives them 3 points, pulling them to 18th place out of the relegation zone, or 16th place out of the relegation zone. So Soccer Idiot, thanks for bringing it up. Thanks for bringing up the derby. But I was ecstatic on Saturday as I watched my Blues get 3 huge points.
What do you say, Kendall? Like up the derby or
up the toffees, bro?
Up the toffee. I knew it was up to something.
Hey,
back over to Rob. So Rob, quick question before we move on. I'm very intrigued as to walk us through the decision to try to get the allocation, because I think there's probably like a lot of people listening to the show that would be in that fine line of like, do I try to do because people either have a business for sports cards or are thinking about it. I would say more and more so over the last 3 years, right? So walk us through kind of like really quickly that process for you, the decision, like whatever you can share, and like how that works. Like, how did you get started? Because I think that would be that's probably a big thing. If I'm listening to the show right now, I'm thinking, oh man, I want them to elaborate on that a little bit. So,
well, if you're an official LLC or whatever form of company you are, and you have a tax ID, you can apply to get a resale certificate and then you can go to all the distributors and they have their information on file, and then you can apply for allocation, I guess. Some distributors don't accept any more people, so it's kind of hard to get in. But as we've seen over the market, as the market's gone down, there's been less people probably trying to get allocation. That's starting to improve. I don't do a lot of breaks. I do a few on Bob's Car Market, but we randomly try to get some stuff that we're going to hold on to for a while from an investment standpoint, and then resell it later. But the majority of what we do is sell singles online. So I'm trying to get. I want to try to get this test in place where we get like a case of something, rip it all, and sell singles online like the week that it's released, because that's when the value is the highest. Because that's our wheelhouse and that's what we do. So that's what our goal is. As far as allocation goes, you have to pre-order it like months in advance. I think it's like 3, 4, 5 months in advance. So, and you don't pay for it up front. You pay for it on release, the release week. So you have to make sure you're going to have the money set aside. You don't run into problems there. You don't know what your situation is going to be, several months from now. So there's that, and you just put in how many you want, and then the week before you get told how many you get. That's it.
And so is a so these are not directly from the manufacturer, these are from distributors. So this would be like I don't know, DA Card World or like somebody like that. Is that a distributor, or what's an example of a distributor?
So Southern Hobby is the one that I work with. They're in Nashville, but they
a lot
also
of them
have,
you've probably never heard of.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
GTS is another big one. They're in California, I think. And there's a few other ones that I don't work with.
Interesting.
Yeah, DA World and Steel City and Blowout, they get their stuff from the distributors.
Okay. Interesting.
So, and there's a lot of talk with Fanatics.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talk with Fanatics of even just taking out the distributors as a whole.
Yeah.
And
I would love
as the middleman.
Yeah,
that's kind of why we haven't pushed it a whole lot at Wildcards. Is we're working with a guy who works with a distributor, and we get great prices from him. But he, I mean, honestly, he gives us better prices than we can find anywhere else, and he's still getting a good cut. So, but honestly, we're kind of waiting for that Fanatics. Like, is this going to stay the way it is? And so.
Yeah.
I do have that checklist pulled up that I've got some appealing names if you want me to go back to that.
Yeah, go for it.
So first off, the checklist is, it's just big because it's their flagship product. There's 330 base players in this checklist, but some of the rookie cards that I'm excited about that he did not, like some of the guys that he just didn't mention, that are a little bit further down on the checklist. Riley Green does have one, as well. You see guys in here like, it's guys that you've never heard of, like Corey Lee is going to be a guy that I've seen a bunch of autos of him. He could be good, but it's like not really a guy that you're really excited about his rookie card. Brett Beatty, though, has a rookie card in here. Tristan Casas could be huge for Boston.
Oh,
yeah. Oscar Peraza is pretty popular. I'm not really investing in him personally, but a guy that I've liked a whole lot last year that I probably actually will look at trying to get some cards of him before the season starts this year is Oscar Gonzalez. He's like a fan favorite there in Cleveland. He also walks out to the SpongeBob theme song he's just a goofball, and he played really, really well at the end of last season. So he's a guy that's kind of a sneaky ad for me right now. So he has a rookie card in this set. And then you have guys like Lennon Sosa who are going to come and probably be involved in that White Sox lineup that's kind of struggling for fresh blood. So he's another guy that I like. Gabriel Moreno is a really, really good catcher that just moved over to the Diamondbacks from the Blue Jays. That's a big trade. He's probably going to start day one for them. And he was a top 5, top 10 prospect in a lot of lists last year and the years before that. So those are some names that I love, along with Henderson and Rushman, and just some other guys that I wanted to at least throw in there. So.
Very nice. Okay, couple other notes. Chad says he pre-orders from Cardboard Connection, and that's a way to get some lower prices if you don't have a resale license. So that's cool. My W of the week is I have a few W's of the week, but being able to watch the NBA All-Star game last night and check out some of the All-Star weekend. Like I'm interested in the Rising Stars, so have some notes from the Rising Stars game, of course. But I did watch the draft and the All-Star game last night. So Oh My Shoes and a couple other people in the comments are talking about that. I thought it was cool. I did not watch the slam dunk contest, but I know Rob said he did, along with the 3-point shootout. So we had Mac McClung win the dunk contest. We had Giannis play one play and score, and I hope that He's sitting out as a precaution. I saw the wrist injury last week. It made me nervous that he wasn't going to even be there. So it was great to see him there. It was great to see him like laughing, smiling, trying to draft Ja Morant when he wasn't even on stage. Thanks, Oh My Shoes. I like that note as well. But great. I had fun. I had fun watching the NBA All-Star game. But it was my first one in like 5 years that I've been able to watch since I'm back stateside now. But I was laughing out loud. Charles Barkley and Shaq. I watched the alternate broadcast on TBS, and Charles Barkley and Shaq were just going at each other. And I love that they pull in my guy Draymond Green from Michigan State. Draymond's gonna be. You could tell I know he has a podcast and everything, but you can tell life after basketball for Draymond. He's gonna be a sought after personality, broadcaster, all that stuff. So I thought he did a great job. But Jason Tatum wins the MVP with 55 points. Not sure how much that actually means, but it's interesting. Yeah. Doesn't hurt.
How do you drop 55 in an All-Star game? That's all I'm asking.
What was the final score? Like
unbelievable.
200 to 190 or something?
It was one. So team.
I think the way they set it up is a race to 163 or something like that.
It's 184 to 175. Jeez. So, I mean, I'll pull up the box score here and just like rattle. But like Donovan Mitchell had 40. Damian Lillard had 26. Lowry Markkanen had 13, the hometown hero. Joel Embiid, 32. Kyrie, 32. Jaylen Brown, 35 off the bench. Tyrese Halliburton, 18. Really doesn't mean, I mean, Luka had 4. So it doesn't, you've got guys Ja had 6. So you've got a lot of the bigger name guys didn't really necessarily steal the spotlight other than Tatum. But, I don't know. It was interesting. Yeah. The draft was fun. I agree with VJ and Oh My Shoes. I thought it was cool. Okay, so Oh My Shoes, put your win of the week in the comments, and we're gonna do ours, and then we'll shout out yours, okay? Because Oh My Shoes is in the comments talking about his win of the week, which is great. Okay, so my win of the week, related to cards, is actually like real talk, not like a huge deal, but it is a win in that sometimes you buy things that you get hype about, and then you realize shortly thereafter you got a little too hype and you may be stuck with something that you don't want. I think we all can relate to this, right? And one of those guys was Caden Clark for me. And Kendall mentioned soccer, quote unquote, flying off the shelves, for lack of a better term, in the hobby these days. I have noticed anecdotally as well, especially because at Atlanta's Culture Collision show, I was there. I noticed soccer cards, way more soccer cards than 2-3 years ago at shows in the States. I've noticed soccer cards online, more and more soccer card sales. Caden Clark, the jury's still out on him, but let's just say that the hype machine has slowed down to like a quiet rumble. And so I paid probably $5 for this pink X-Fractor a while back, so I was not expecting a whole big return on this. It was part of a PSA submission bulk back in July, the deal in July. So I think that deal was maybe for $15. So I was probably around $20 into this card and sold it for $29. So I had it listed for $35, accepted a best offer of $29. So I basically broke even. But considering that I own quite a few Caden Clark cards, and at this point I'm unsure what's going to happen with them, I was excited to actually break even on one. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there as my win of the week. Sometimes your win is not like this huge profit. Sometimes your win is, hey, I moved a card or a group of cards for way more than I thought I was going to based on the market, and turning an L into a W here is my win of the week. So nothing too fancy, but wanted to throw that out there as a real talk win of the week.
Nice.
Who wants to go next, boys?
Hopefully Rob has a cooler W than a PSA 9 moving.
Yeah,
PSA
9 Clark.
My win of the week is kind of what you already talked about, and it's not very exciting, but just over the past couple weeks, just in general, not one specific card, we've had a pretty good week on eBay. So I've been digging through a collection we bought and getting cards from there listed. So that's helped quite a bit. But we've had about 275 sales each week the past 2 weeks. So, which is pretty good for us. So that's my W of the week. We deal in volume, not price. So
yeah, no,
hey,
that's
dude,
great.
If you're moving cards, that's moving cards.
Yeah, that's great. Good work. Kendall, you got a dub?
Yeah, I do. I have been thrilled watching the She Believes Cup and Mallory Swanson scoring 5 goals in 5 appearances, 5 goals. She's just tearing it up right now. She does have some Parkside cards that are flying off the shelves, and I actually have some Parkside cards that I need to go back through because that's what. Do you remember me finding my Trinity Rodman last year?
Oh, yes. And Mallory Swanson is actually Mallory Pugh on her cards, right?
Yeah.
For those of you. So, and I've got some right here as well. So I don't know if Rob's into women's soccer cards, but
no.
Look right here. We got some NWSL hanger box right here, baby.
Yeah, so I found this card in my Parkside last year.
Solid. That's purple, Trinity Rodman.
It's a purple Trinity Rodman, who's Dennis Rodman's son, Rob. So So if you're not familiar with the United States women's national team, they're playing right now, and their cards actually move really well for it being, people are like, oh, it's women's soccer, how lucrative can that be, or how many sales can you make? There's a lot, and I move Rose Lavelle pretty often. She's really popular. Alex Morgan's really popular, but there's some young girls here that are just phenomenal. Like there are some great United States women's national team players that are coming up, and I was able to actually find that I had some of the really nice cards. I mean, this Trinity Rodman is a purple 10, so I'm really this is a hold for me because she's played the last 2 or 3 games.
That's actually a huge card. Like if anyone's out, anyone's out there, like sort of like snickering at this, like this is actually like a really big card, Trinity Rodman. If you go on eBay or go to nooffseason.com to check the sales data on a lot of these women's soccer players, they're in the soccer card rankings, which I do need to update. But all of these women that Kendall's mentioning are in the soccer card rankings and interspersed with the guys at nooffseason.com, and they sell for big money. When you get a parallel or an auto, if you get an auto out of one of these women's national team players for the U.S., like it's big money.
Yeah.
So quick question, since I don't know anything about soccer. Do the United States women cards sell better than United States men cards?
Yeah. So I was trying to I didn't want to necessarily say that because
I'm just curious because isn't United States women's soccer, it's way more popular than the men, right? Or is that no?
Well, they've been better. They've been more successful.
They've been better. Yeah.
I think that's part of. I would agree that like it's notable. Like I don't know that there's like a barometer to say like one's more popular than the other, but I do know that women's national team for the U.S. is extremely popular. I think because of how dominant they've been, right, Kendall?
I would say probably the men still probably move at a higher rate. Just one, because their print run is way higher. And then like the Parkside cards at Parkside is like a different manufacturer that, just bought the license to the NWSL and started printing cards. And so the NWSL is the American Soccer League for women. But some of the like best women don't play in the NWSL, so they have like Champions League cards you can find out there. That like Alex Morgan, for instance, has some cards from England, some stuff like that, or some USA kit. But like this Trinity card, Trinity Rodman, this is her in her club kit, playing for the Spirit, which is in Washington. So this is her draft card. So that card I pulled from a pack that was like, I don't know, $10, and then it sat in my little card box for like a year with a sleeve on it, and then I pulled it out and realized it's like $180 card, and I was able to get it a PSA 10. So I mean, it's a sick thing for me, really. But I would say the men move probably at a faster rate. But like if you end up having one of these cards, which is very likely if you have any of those blasters, you got some really nice cards that you don't realize you have.
Yeah, like I found this in Target. If anyone, I've already opened it, full disclosure. There's nothing fancy in it at all. But if anyone wants it, I'll send it to you for free. So email me at paul@nooffseason.com. If you just want some women's soccer cards, I'll send them to you. I don't want them anymore, but there's nothing of value in there. But if you're a collector or you just want to see what they look like, email me at paul@nooffseason.com. I'll send you this one. But that's good stuff, Kendall. Anything else you want to add on the win of the week?
Yeah, I also I know that they've done cards previously, but it got me excited for what they're going to do in the future. But the XFL is back.
Yeah,
like it was fun to watch, man. I've when the XFL was around the first time, I decided to root for the Battlehawks in St. Louis. And so I just tuned in, just to see what happened. Had like 20 minutes of downtime. So I watched the end of the fourth quarter. And what a wild, exciting time. The Rock went to every single XFL game this weekend. Like he was at every one of them. I'm not even sure logistically how that happens. How do you get to all of them? But
I don't know. I mean, when you're the Rock, you definitely have a private jet, I would say.
Got to be taking a PJ just all over the place, man. But it's a fun product. And like, I think there is competition available for another football league that is offering a little bit something different. And I think there could be cards that move in that realm if, when Topps decides to invest in that. So
I'm glad you brought that up, mainly because I knew my son Max was hype about the XFL. And there was just something about it. I don't know what it was, but so he's 13 and I think he's going to try to play football this year on his middle school team going into next year. And so I think he's super into sports, and I think he just got excited about the announcement, that the Rock owns the league, and that, there's just kind of, and if you look, so he was reading me the coaches and some of the rosters, and the coach, you've got Hines Ward, Rod Woodson, I saw Chris Dishman. So Max and I watched 2 games over the weekend. He was hype about it. And I just thought it was fun that he was so excited. So he and I were watching it, and it was exciting. AJ McCarron is one of the quarterbacks. So you could see where like
Wade Phillips, bro.
Wade Phillips. Exactly. Wade Phillips.
Come on.
The number 1 defensive coordinator in the NFL for a long time. Like bar none, the number 1 defensive coordinator in the NFL for a long time. So you've got some legit people in the XFL.
He looks older than dirt out there, by the way, when he's coaching. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't see how he looked, but
he wore this like trucker hat that was like way tall, and he's just like walking around. I'm like, dang, bro, you look like they handed you a Gen Z uniform, and you're just like, I don't know how to wireless, like. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Go Wade. I love that. All right, we're gonna go over to Oh My Shoes. Oh My Shoes emailed me, and I'm pulling it up on the show. He found a great dollar box score. Here's the photo of it.
Dang.
So these are all $1.
Nice.
And so he has on campus Najee Harris. He says last comp went for 35 plus shipping. He paid $2 or $3 for that. But you can see the rest of them here. Jimmy Butler, My House.
Where's this dollar box? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a nice dollar box.
It is, right? I mean, now Justin Fields, rookie phenom, optic. Now the rest of them probably aren't going to go for anything huge, but like I would think just based on my sales of sort of like lower end cards, like the Justin Fields rookie phenoms optic, like that's probably a $5 or $6 card, I would think. Mm-hmm. That's a Shea rookie remembrance, NBA hoops, not huge, but probably more than $1. And that is not Josh Giddey, for those of you who are wondering, because the photo is really small. It's Jeremiah Robinson.
Honestly, has some potential as well. So
great job on My Shoes. Love that. So if you're
you can't leave out the bowl card either.
Bowl, yeah.
The laser.
Bowl, Cooper Cup. Don't want to leave those guys out. Great job. And so for those of you who are just listening to the show for the first time or watching the show for the first time, we'll do this, like we're not too big. We're not too fancy not to throw in plays from our audience. So just send them over. I'm going to throw them in there. Great work. Oh my shoes. So back to real quick to the NBA All-Star game. Had a couple funny comments here come in. One about Chad saying the Joker. You could kind of see how he gets no hobby love. He definitely looked horrible, like the Joker in that game. And Draymond even said, like, that's not my kind of game. They asked him, Kenny, Charles, and Shaq kind of asked Draymond, like, what do you even do in an all-star game? Like, how do you? And so I think Joker's probably that kind of player. Couple of soccer comments in here too, since Kendall brought up soccer. VJ talking about Dahan Kulisevsky, true rookie card out of 50 for 10 pounds. Interesting. Good work, VJ. It was in a lot of 40 Serie A cards. That's super interesting. Would love to dive more into that. Southern Soccer Idiot says, yes, I remember this, SSI. I mentioned Joao Pedro of Watford because I wrote an article for Sports Card Investor about the 2021-22 Prism hobby boxes, Prism EPL hobby boxes, and he was like the rookie. And I was like questioning, who is he? Like, is this? Because like the rookie classes of soccer are still kind of really hard to figure out. So Southern Soccer Idiot kind of saying that he's doing fantastic in the championship. So that's interesting. Developing his game more every week. Love that. Thanks for chiming in. And SSI validating VJ. Nice find. Very nice find with the Kulisevsky. I wonder how I'm pronouncing that, because I do not know who that guy is. All right, fellas, let's move on here. Next up, buy of the week. So I like to talk about going where they ain't. And so for me, what am I doing during the NBA All-Star game? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm buying way too many Victor Wembenyama SI for kids cards. I bought like 8 of these last night. And this is one that I bought.
Looks centered.
And dude, they're
that's
all
horribly off-centered.
Dude, they're all like, so there's one SGC 9 that has like 50 bids on it, and it's up over like, it's close to like $300, and it's like horrible. Like I don't know how many of these aren't like this. So if you're listening on Apple or Spotify right now, like we're looking at this SI for kids cards, and it's awful centering. But I'm telling you guys, like I've looked at, and I don't know whether this is foolish of me or just it is what it is, but I've looked at so many of these Victor Wembanyama SI for kids cards. So like already torn out and uncut sheets. They're horrible. Like, and they might be listed because they're horrible, or they all could be this way. Like most of them could be this way. I don't know. I haven't had an SI for kids magazine in
what issue was it in?
Like, it was in 2023. Let me pull it up.
I wonder if there's a different angle to try to find the magazines themselves.
Well, so I bought some magazines. So I bought,
but not like if they're listing the magazine like that and they know that he's in there, they obviously know what they have. But I'm thinking like
a different angle to just find the magazines that aren't related,
like someone that doesn't know that they have
search.
They have a cool card in there. They're just trying to get rid of this magazine that their kids get.
100%. I think that's actually the play, which is like, so these cards are going for around $25 for the card torn out. Now when they're graded, they're going for over $100 in SGC slabs. I haven't seen any in PSA slabs yet. So what I'm going to do, the reason why I brought this up is because I probably have 10 of these now. I think probably half of them are not torn out and the other half are torn out. And I'm probably paying an average of about $30 per card. So what I'm going to do is submit them to PSA bulk, and hopefully, I mean, it's February, so hopefully I'll get them back by June. The dude, like, they're only like the sports world is only going to be talking about this guy in June. Sorry, Kendall, with baseball, but like this guy is going to be so big that the sports world is only going to be talking about Victor Wembenyama in June with the NBA draft. Then we're going to have the summer league. So even if I don't get my submission back, this dude's going to play in the summer league, and they're only going to be talking about Wembenyama in July. Maybe some football, maybe some NFL talk, some training camp talk, maybe the MLB All-Star game, a little bit of that. But Victor Wembenyama is going to dominate everything in the sports world in the summer. And so my plan is to just offload all of these puppies after they're in. I could have PSA 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, whatever. I might get a 7 if I'm lucky.
That's what I was saying. Like, I wouldn't worry about the grading at all, because if they're all bad, then like, well, I would still grade like your best ones, but if they're all bad like this, then you could have the best one and the best. I mean, you know that there's SGC 9, but like a PSA 7 could be the best PSA out there.
Totally. Because
they're just the way the sheets work. There could never be an 8, 9, or 10. You could have the best one.
Potentially, yeah. So then
I love a Sports Illustrated for Kids card. Let's go.
I knew you would like it, Kendall, because you mentioned your Brady in an earlier show. Love that. And I think, and so we had, the golf card strategy show with Mike LaCusta a couple weeks ago, talked about Tiger Woods has the icon. I mean, there are some iconic SI for Kids cards. And so, and then the other thing too, guys, is the release schedule, right? So like, when is Wembenyama gonna have? When is the release schedule going to dictate that Wembenyama has his first actual investable card other than this SI for Kids cards? I think this SI for Kids card runway is going to be through December of his rookie year, right? Because Hoops comes out in January typically. So I think, I mean, imagine if Wembenyama like lights it up for like the first few months of his, and I've got 10 SI for Kids PSA graded cards. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. So we'll see. So that's one I wanted to throw out there. Another buy would be along the same lines. If you're not an SI for Kids person, Amen Thompson is supposed to be like the 3rd overall pick, and his brother Asar Thompson is supposed to be a top 5 pick. And they have the Topps Chrome Overtime Elite League rookie autos from a year ago. So the 2021 release. Those are affordable. I would say so the Aqua out of 99 auto for Amen is going to go for around $100. So then you have a decision point of like, okay, do I want to get that and get it graded, or do I want to hold that and flip it around the draft or the summer league? Or do I just want to like pile on a few more $100 and buy like a better NBA, like a real NBA star now, or something else now? So that's a tougher call to me than the Wembenyama. To me, the Wembenyama is like, even though it's SI for Kids, even though there's some risk with the grading, and I think Rob actually hit the nail on the head, which is like, if you could try to find the magazine, and I'll tell you guys the issue. So it's the February 2023. It's February 2023.
I mean, there could still be some of those out in the wild, like at
on magazine stands potentially. Go try to find those guys. Let us know if you can and how that's going for you, because I think that's a huge.
Like, think of like a grocery store. They have that little magazine section.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
No one's probably shopping there for that. Like,
or just like go around your neighborhood where the little kids live and just like knock on their door and try to buy their SI for Kids. Be like, hey, how's little Timmy doing? Does he have SI for Kids? Hey, Mom, I'll give you $15 for it. Mom's like,
or you could do the right thing and tell them what they have and tell them to go sell it.
I guess you could do the right thing. That's probably the better call, Rob. Let's see if is Chad. Chad says there's a really well-centered left to right, a bit top to bottom 190. Okay, so I would buy that, Chad. Like, if you see that, my advice is I would buy that for $40, because that's based on my research. If any of you find that, I would anything, because I'm telling you, some of these I've seen are like centered off into the next person's card. Like, it's ridiculous. So I don't know. It'd be interesting just to see what PSA would grade those. I might.
Dang, there's
have
one
all
right
of them
now for
graded just
59 that is centered really, honestly, pretty well compared to the one you showed us.
Yeah, like they're going for 30 to 40 bucks on eBay for the magazine. I'm gonna get like 4 or 5 magazines showing up at the house. It's gonna remind me of when I was like 8, and I'm gonna rip out some cards, send them to PSA for fun, and then flip them in July when he puts up 50 in a summer league game. All threes.
All threes.
All right, that's my buy. What do you guys got? Rob, what do you got?
I'm going to combine my buy and sell because they're related.
Nice. Go for it.
So I think the next 3-4 days is your last chance from a buy perspective to get any baseball that you're prospecting on for the upcoming season. Spring training starting, I think, at the end of the week, if not early this week. And so once that starts, people are just going to be all in on baseball, and the next 6 weeks is the prime selling season as well. So kind of a buy and sell. But if you have any under the radar buys that you want to make from a baseball perspective, now is right now, like literally in the next 2 days is the time to do it. I wouldn't go buying any of the guys that already have a lot of hype around them, like, all the guys from Series 1 and things like that. But if you have any under the radar plays, now is the time to do that. And one thing I just want to, that I'm kind of looking at is 2018 wax in general. No matter the product, because there's so many different angles to take, but a lot of the players from there have had their foot in the league for several years. They've had a chance to make their name known, and a lot of them are at kind of buy low scenarios now, like Soto, Acuna, Devers, Ohtani's not necessarily a buy low, but and so the wax has dropped a lot, and so that's a good opportunity to hedge your bets. And there's tons of other players that are in those products that are good players that are fan favorites, like Hoskins, Max Fried, Shane Bieber, Sandy Alcantara's in 2018. There's so many guys, Albies, that I think 2018 wax is a good buy right now. And then selling, take the next couple days, get your baseball stuff ready to go, and sell over the next 6 weeks, because this is the prime opportunity to sell. Every single player is going to win an MVP in everyone's eyes. Every prospect's going to come up and be rookie of the year. So you have to sell, because once the season starts, the fluctuation of prices on baseball is very minimal. And so you got to get, and don't be scared to sell the guys that you might think are going to have a good year, because you just never know. You'd rather get your money now, and yeah, you might lose one, but you're going to win on all the rest. So
love that advice. Could not agree more. Kendall, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with him. I was going to say a couple of guys that I'm really excited about. Tovar from the Rockies, I think it's one of the guys you could get pretty cheap. He's going to get a lot of run out there in Colorado, and he's going to be a guy that a lot of people are going to chase at some point this season, because, he's going to get time to develop. Talked about Oscar Gonzalez earlier. He's probably a guy that's not super, super expensive. But then there's just some dudes that are incredible. There's a guy actually that he has some cards out there, but I'm saying he will be a buy for me as soon as he gets a Bowman card, is Spencer Jones from New York City. He's a Yankee prospect, but this guy is incredible. His build looks just like Ohtani, and he's the same size as Aaron Judge. He's just incredible. He literally just, his swing is incredible. So he's a guy that I'm really looking forward to. As soon as he gets some Bowman cards, I'm going to be dropping on him. But I think, yeah, Rob, you're right on it. Of this is it. This is the silly season of where people are just going to be, people are going to be investing in guys like Corey Lee, because oh crap, he could make the everyday roster for the Astros, blah. And as soon as the Astros clear him into the opening day roster, everyone's going to be oh, Corey Lee's just He's just a catcher. Like, he's just a dude, you know, like, and but right now people are going to hype on him, you know, and so sell all those guys. I'm about to list like the biggest card I've ever had. I'm going to list it this week. So, you know, if you're interested in my out of 5 Indy Rodriguez out there, I know a lot of people have hit me up about the show. Like, we've talked about this quite a bit, and I'm going to list it this week. So we'll see. Yeah, I think my buy of the week is do some digging, go to our list, you know, like get a membership. It's worth the list. And go look at some of these guys that we have on this list and go comp them versus some comparable, especially if you can go to a card show. If you can get to a card show this weekend and get some Bowman Chrome autos for cheaper than you can on eBay, like, do that, because it's going to be silly season here very, very soon. So
if there are any spring trainings coming up, and it doesn't matter, like the only thing that spring training matters for is like determining some playing time, maybe. Like, if a prospect does well, they might give a chance to make the roster. But if a veteran does anything significant in spring training and their card prices react, like say some 5-year veteran hits 5 home runs in spring training and then everyone starts buying their cards, sell those cards then, because
Kyle Hishakioka, I probably just butchered that name, but he was a catcher last year that hit 8 home runs in a row in the Yankees spring training. Everybody thought like Yankees had their catcher figured out. He came up and didn't even hit like 160 in the spring training, but his cards were flying in spring training.
So you got to be ready.
Another thing I wanted to point out here is I ended up doing this exact strategy last year, and I sold my J-Rods right before the season started. And I sold them in March, and I got the exact same money they were worth the same week that he won Rookie of the Year. So it's just like, that's like a good,
great example.
You know, a good example. Like, I was scared because I was like, J-Rod's going to be incredible, and you know, and he is incredible, and he literally won Rookie of the Year, and it was the same money that what I sold it for. So if you're afraid of like, this guy could be huge, I sold Pena for the exact same price that he was selling for, like in the postseason. Like, it was just like, these are guys that when they do blow up, the hype cycle is the same now as it will be when they win. So there's going to be a lot of guys that hype cycle in the beginning that don't make it to the end and do well. So like Rob said, I think that's perfect advice. Don't be scared. Get your guys out there and see what happens.
Kendall, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think there are a ton of people that are, I think 90% of sports card investors are scared of missing out on the performance spike, like the moment. But really, really glad you brought that up, and that you have that as like 2 real life examples where it's like, hey guys, you know, the hype cycle is not only the safest time to sell, to your and Rob's point, but you're really not missing out on much either. So you got to kind of like chalk it up as a win and then move on to the next thing, right? Take that profit, move on to the next thing. I've got like one more note on buying. So courtesy of Chad Gill, who we mentioned earlier, he did an analysis on a couple guys on no off season. One is Joel Embiid, one is Ja Morant. And let's just say that there are some huge opportunities for each of those 2 guys. So I'm not going to talk too much about it on the show and give it all away. But when you're buying the right cards for the right players, even in season, you can make a lot of money. So Chad did a couple of deep analyses on Ja and Joel. So check that out at nooffseason.com. And VJ, this is a great comment by VJ. Like, he says, and there's always the what if the moment doesn't happen. And that's actually like way more, that's a great point, VJ. That's like way more likely that the moment doesn't happen. So real quick, my sells, I'm going to go through them real quick. Another one courtesy of Chad. Thanks, Chad. He did an analysis on Keldon Johnson. So Keldon Johnson is a great sell right now. So check that out at nooffseason.com. Couple from me. I think the So I'm going to give a shout out to Slab Stocks real quick, because one of their graphics, they do a great job with these kinds of things in the daily slab. I have no contact with the Slab Stocks guys, by the way. I just think they do a great job. Mac McClung, to see a card go up 603%. It's a college Prism draft pick, sensational signatures Mac McClung auto. So like, this is like any Mac McClung anything, right? Like immediately.
Yeah, his base is selling for around 10 or 15 bucks, like a base Prism draft. Like, dig through the boxes and sell that card right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually going to do that when we get off this.
Yeah, so like here. So the cool thing too, like for guys like Rob and Kendall who deal in a lot more have a lot more physical cards than I do, just because they run larger either eBay stores or breaking businesses than I do. Like you guys probably have these, right? So that's why Rob, I think, kind of got excited. He's like, I've got some Mac McClungs from, the other guy would be Jose Alvarado for me. He was the MVP of the Rising Stars. I mentioned that earlier in the show that I was going to have a comment on that. I think I saw a lot of things for me that were cool in the Rising Stars game. I like the G League Ignite guys being in there. Kenny Lofton Jr. looks like he's going to actually be a player.
That dude is huge.
Attention. Yeah, and he's not the son of the former Cleveland Indians center fielder Kenny Lofton, who I loved that guy as a kid. So he's not it's a different Kenny Lofton as the father, but there's some interesting guys like and like Scoot Henderson played, but I mean I like Jose Alvarado like is a guy, but I mean this is how I watch these things and what I take away. So he's the MVP of the Rising Stars, right? And he was mic'd up, but even he admitted this when he was mic'd up. He said, look, everyone has a role to play, because the announcers asked him, like, what advice do you have for young basketball players? And he said, everyone has a role to play. He's like, I'm not a scorer. I'm not like one of the best players on my team, but I'm going to play defense. I'm going to work hard and distribute the ball. So it's even him admitting that he's really not the type of guy that's going to win these types of awards and accolades. It's like he's he's what do they call him? Grand Theft Alvarado. Like he's a defensive lockdown guy. So like sell Jose Alvarado right now. This is going to be like a peak for him. I mean, the other thing would be like if the Pelicans do make it to the finals or something, that would be another time if you held Jose Alvarado a little bit too long. But anyway, those are my sells. I think Kendall and Rob kind of hit on their sells. So if you guys don't have anything else to add for the sell of the week, you guys ready to take some audience questions? We've got some really good ones this week.
Yeah, audience questions is good.
All right, cool. So let's start with Jake Williams. So Jake says, had a question about nooffseason.com. Don't think I've heard you guys talk about it on the show. Do you think retired players will ever be added to the website and be included in the rankings with write-ups and buy-sell recommendations? I see that all the players are for the current players, but I'm wondering if there's any specific advice on buying and selling legends. I know buying legends and holding them long-term is definitely a viable option, but it would be cool to have any buy recommendations for these players as well. For example, while Jordan cards always seem like a solid investment, is there any seasonality to it? Maybe they're a buy in certain months and a hold sell in others. I was curious to your thoughts because when I'm scrolling eBay, I view all of the auctions ending soonest and see how many retired player legends that I am passing up because there's not a ton of information on which legends might be a better buy than others. So I know my answer on this, but I really wanted to kick it to you guys because I think each of your perspectives are super valuable on this. So Rob, what do you take away from this question? I know there's kind of a lot to unpack there.
I think it's pretty simple from a retired player standpoint, just because their prices don't fluctuate that much. I think the windows for buying and selling are pretty standard. Is, in my opinion, I'm buying retired players if they're Hall of Fame worthy. Like, let me say that up front. I'm buying them probably a year to 3 years after they retire because everyone's forgot about them. Like, they're out of sight, out of mind. But before a year before they're eligible for the Hall of Fame and they're going to go in, and it's a sure bet. So like in a year, I'm going to be looking for a Pujols rookie, because I think that'll be one of the lower points in that card. Like if you look now after the year he just had, it's probably at one of the higher points. So, and I think you can probably use that strategy across the board. But that's my thoughts.
I like that. Just that there's too much hype around like the retirement and the potential Hall of Fame and all that. Kendall, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a different kind of investing. That's why we don't talk about it very much. Like Paul specifically, since he's like the creator of No Off Season, his window has been 6 to 12 months. Like that's where he's been focusing. And vintage and Hall of Fame dudes are guys that are longer term holds. They're just like you try to invest like maybe a year or two, like Rob's saying, out. But at the same time, like we had Leiden Sipe on here a couple of months ago where he talks from a like an actual investing standpoint in terms of vintage cards. It's beat the S&P 500 over the last like 70 something years. So I think this is kind of like vintage and Hall of Fame players. I'm not sure exactly. There's like an actual like silly season like we're talking about for spring training. Now, given like maybe one of them pops off in the news and you just can't really determine that. But what I will say is I think it's a good way to put value away and for it to not fluctuate as much. Like, for instance, like if I was to buy a Mike Trout Bowman auto graded right now for like a, gazillion dollars or whatever they're going for right now. Mike Trout gets injured in the WBC, or what if he doesn't even play in 2023 because he gets injured in the World Baseball Classic? That's pretty risky, right? Mm-hmm. But if I'm buying, a Sandy Koufax or something like that, Hall of Famer. I mean, that's vintage and Hall of Fame are not always the same conversation. Like Pujols is not exactly vintage at this point, but could be like he's going to have that Hall of Fame hype in a couple of years. But I think it's just a different style of investing where you can put your money away and kind of that's something that you vault for sure. Like you don't keep it at your house. You don't try to like look at it every single day. It's kind of like putting a storage of money and funds away. It's a different type of investment strategy. And it's like a set it and forget it type thing where you can have and a lot of people are really, really into this market. I mean, like if you look at like cigar cards and stuff like that, of like the like Negro League players that were not printed in America, but they were printed in Cuba. And like those cards are going for crazy money. Like Jackie has some crazy cards. And I think obviously I'm talking more of the vintage Hall of Famers, but I think it's just long-term holds and they do beat the S&P 500 statistically. So
I think there's two options for retired players is either, and from a selling standpoint, you either sell when they get inducted to the Hall of Fame, like that year, or if you're not going to do that, you hold until you need the money. So you need to pay for college or retire or whatever. There's no other. Yeah. I don't think there's another option.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at, Rob. And I think so we do probably, this is a great question, Jake. And it is something that we do need to add to the website in some way, shape, or form. I haven't added them to the rankings, although I do think, because I don't think that they're the same type of investment as the ultra modern players, the current players, but I do think that and the cards are very different. Like the eras of the cards are very different from what we have now. But I do think that there could be a separate ranking for retired players. And it looks like Chad wants to contribute to that. So I'm really excited. Chad has an example in the comments about Cal Ripken, tops traded, I think. So that's great. We're gonna add that. And this is actually a good segue because the next question is from Parka TCG on Twitter at Parka TCG, Parka Sports Cards, is asking about Desmond Ridder. He says he's got a feeling about Desmond Ridder. Seems like the kind of guy that could have a nice second year leap. And so the reason why I think this is actually a similar question, because I sort of think about, to Rob's point about retired players, you've got this hype window for like Pujols, for example. Like as he was approaching the 700 home run mark. It's 700 home runs, right? As he was approaching that career milestone, there was a ton of hype around, like his card value rose across the board, like as it should. And so he's probably going to be in the hype cycle for a little while longer due to, retirement, Hall of Fame and all of that. But then like what Rob's talking about, 2 to 3 years later, that's when you buy them. I actually think the same thing about rookies. So for example, so Desmond Ridder is in this interesting pocket right now where he has some investable cards out and he does. I agree with Parka Sports Cards on the fact that he could be a sneaky play next year. Like he could make a sophomore leap in Atlanta. There's a couple different things though. Number one, his most investable cards haven't come out yet still. So like Don Russ football hasn't come out yet. That's supposed to come out, I believe, in March. And then after Don Russ, of course, you have the trickle down eventually to Prism and Contenders, Prism, Select, right? So much like I would wait for Albert Pujols a few years past that hype cycle, I would almost wait a year at least to invest in a guy like Desmond Ridder, because you have to wait until his most investable cards actually come out and hit the market, and then their prices need to settle down. And then just another factor, which doesn't even really play into as big as that factor, is are the Atlanta Falcons going to draft a quarterback? Like we don't know that yet. So I think like I like the thought, Parka, on Desmond Ridder, and you can see like Market Movers does have some data that would show that like his price is down on a lot of these cards.
I got a low risk idea if you really want to invest in Desmond Ridder.
Yeah.
It might be a little risky, but I don't know. It's 2021-22 Bowman University. So that was kind of the first time they came out with that product. And with the upcoming draft, it's also got Bryce Young and CJ Stroud in there as first Bowmans. So we don't really know how these first Bowman football cards are going to go. They might do a lot better once Topps has the NFL license at some point when that happens. But Desmond Ridder is also in there. You got Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett. Yeah. There's a lot of first Bowman quarterbacks, and you could probably find a blaster for $10-15 now. So
that's a great call.
Good option.
That's a great call. And so Desmond Ridder's, that's one of the Desmond Ridder cards that I had sort of queued up, is that his first Bowman auto is it's like it's not down, but it's like it's settled. Like it basically its market price has like completely settled in. I don't know if this is the floor, but it's definitely like has been going down. And so it is to Rob's point, and like we've talked about this too, like the Bowman brand with the first on it and the fact that it's an auto, like that would be a card that would go up if Desmond Ridder does in fact outperform like what people think, like Parka maybe thinks. And yeah, I love combining that with the fact that if you are able to find a blaster box, it does have it has Kenneth Walker. It has
just less risk because you got all those other guys in there.
Got all those other guys. Yeah, exactly. And you do have the hype cycle around like Stroud and Young not having pro cards yet. And so those cards for them are still actually their number one card. So that's a good question. But I think overall, like for Desmond Ridder, like his pro cards, I would not buy in just yet. I think it's a little bit too risky, but I like Rob throwing out the alternative of like, hey, if you like him, there's got to be somewhere like that's like me with Wembenyama. I like him. I want to make a play.
I'm gonna go buy magazines.
I'm gonna go buy kids magazines.
I'm gonna go knock on people's doors.
I'm gonna go steal from little kids.
Paul is honestly, Rob. Paul is ruthless sometimes.
I noticed.
Love it.
Pretty ruthless. There's one thing I want to mention on today's show, but there's so many more. There are actually 2 more audience questions, and then I want to throw something else out there. So next question is from Ryan, who is a Metro Detroit educator. Shout out Ryan for being a Metro Detroit educator. Like that's a tough job. We need you out there. We need good educators, good teachers out there. So Ryan, very happy to have you listen to the show and write in with a question. So Ryan wrote in, he loved the Tigers since he was a boy in the 70s and collected cards at a young age. About a month ago, found my way back into the hobby and was slowly looking to build up an online presence to buy and sell cards. So he's slowly buying things for his PC over time, mainly vintage, Al Kaline, Sandy Koufax, Willie Mays, as well as 1977 through 1980 Star Wars. What I was hoping to glean from those more experienced in the hobby is the best way to approach eBay buying and selling. Bids can be difficult, he says. What auction insights to use, etc., or what auction sites to use? You may have a podcast episode that covers this, but I'm unaware with your business. Any guidance and direction towards some material to absorb would be appreciated. I feel like this would be a good thing for each of you guys to talk about. So, do any of those cards that he's talking about collecting or targeting, guys, do you have any tips for those, or just like eBay tips or other auction sites? I think is the question. Kendall, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, can you read off the names again? I know Alkaline is one I heard.
Yeah, Al Kaline, because he's a Tiger, he's a Detroit guy. But then there's Sandy Koufax and Willie Mays. He also threw out 1977 through 1980 Star Wars, which I'm guessing Kendall might not be in your wheelhouse, but you've pulled out more random stuff than that before. So,
well, I know Top Series Black Star Wars went absolutely nuts last year. So, I mean, I know that Star Wars are investable cards, and honestly, if you can find some of those original ones for prices that are at or below comps, then yeah, go for them, because they will be a market. So, not that I know a ton about it, but I know enough to know if you can get it underneath a comp, then yeah, it's a good investment. But it seems to be like these older guys don't necessarily fall into the same like profiling that the younger guys do. Like, for instance, like this guy right here over my shoulder, like Nolan Ryan cards move pretty easily and quite often. Sandy Koufax move quite often, but I'm not sure that like they move way more often than like a Justin Verlander would. And so like I wouldn't be necessarily afraid of positional eligibility and stuff like that. Even though Justin Verlander will make the Hall of Fame, I just don't think their cards will move at the same degree. You also have to look at print run and some stuff like that. But in terms of eBay auctions, like what I like to do is, and Rob might have like a completely different take on this, but what I like to do is I find a card that I'm looking at. For instance, I just did some of these on the Wembenyamas while we were talking. And I said, okay, there's some auctions that are pretty low and they have a couple days left. I'm going to put my final bid in there and just set it. And if I win it, I win it. If I don't, I'm not going to try to like up the ante and get all salesy when the last 5 minutes. Like, I don't do that. I don't check the last 5 minutes. I don't snipe it, because I know that when I try to snipe things, I overpay. That's what typically always happens for me. So what I do is I go in at like 3 days left. I put in my final bid, my highest bid that I want to pay for this card. And if I don't win it, I take the L, like I'm like, okay, cool. But I don't overspend. I think that would be my eBay auction tip, is just buy or put your final bid in there a couple days before. And if you're already like, if you put your final bid in there and it says you're not the highest bidder, then dude, you got to move on. Like there's other cards.
Yeah, I'm going to agree 100% with Kendall on that. Like when I really, really, really want a card, I will bid until I'll make sure that I bid until the final minute. But that's typically also when I know that there's not very many of those cards out there. But like, and I'm not very well versed on like Kaline, Koufax, Willie Mays cards and Star Wars from that era. But what I do know is that there should be quite a few of them available. I don't know, the condition's going to vary and everything. So there's probably not going to be duplicates of those in the same condition, but you should be able to find cards from those guys, especially. So if you're like just getting into it also, Ryan, like I would caution you to not stay until the end of an eBay auction and bid too much. I would do exactly what Kendall said, is like, check recent comps of that card. So go to the sold and completed listings on eBay of the card that you're looking to bid on. Determine whether or not you're like, how much higher you're willing to go, if at all. And then just set your final bid, like set your highest bid there, and then just set it and forget it and come back, and you'll get an email from eBay telling you whether or not you won. And then if you won, make sure you actually pay, because that actually really does.
Those hooligans.
So that's what I would do. The other site, and then Rob, if you have anything else to add, please do. But the other thing I was going to say is My Slabs might not be a bad, like, because I haven't talked about My Slabs in a while, and I haven't listed anything in My Slabs in a while. But when I've had a good experience with people on My Slabs. Like the people who are buying and selling on My Slabs seem to be, to me, sort of like the best of the best that you would get on eBay. So what I mean by that is, like, you're going to find some cards on My Slabs that you don't necessarily have to search, like, and just a user interface too. I think that's why. So on eBay, you have to search. So it's like your own creativity has to be there on eBay to find stuff. Whereas on My Slabs, you can just kind of browse it like a card show, and you may be able to find some of these Star Wars cards, K-Line, Koufax, Maze, and you'll be able to see, like, oh, maybe it's a Al K-Line SGC 2, and maybe it's super affordable, and you can make an offer on My Slabs. You do have to be like a verified, you have to be verified on My Slabs to buy and sell. But if you have a valid eBay profile, they should let you in. And I would check that out. So it's not an auction site, but you can make offers, and that's what I would do. So Rob, do you have anything else to add on this one?
Just two quick tips for eBay. One is, I agree with everything on the auction side of it, but if you're frustrated with the auctions, look for buy it nows that are maybe slightly above where the auctions are, and just message the seller and ask them, like, hey, would you do X amount? As a seller, trust me, we get like probably 10 a day of people doing that. And then also you can look for auctions where they put the starting bid too high and ended up getting 0 bids, and message that person and be like, hey, I noticed you didn't get any bids on this. Would you take X amount for it once it's over? Or maybe like right the day it's ending, like, hey, if this doesn't sell, if you don't get any bids, would you take whatever? Sneaky
play. I like that a lot. Chad is chiming in about Whatnot Loop. High bid auctions have great vintage cards.
This
guy. And the guy you're looking at on your screen right now, Bob's Card Market, Discord, great community. Chad, good call. And Chad actually wrote an article for nooffseason.com. Go check it out. He wrote an article for nooffseason.com, and it mentions buying entire collections from people off of Facebook Marketplace. So that'll be so power-packed answer for you here, Ryan, but you're a Metro Detroit educator, so we love you, and we're giving you a lot of great information here. Buying people's collections off of Facebook Marketplace, but obviously making sure that you're doing your home, like ask that person a lot of questions, because I've done that before. I've had really good experiences doing that a few years back. Actually, when I first got back in, that's what I did, because I was more familiar with like 1980s basketball. So I would see like a 1980s basketball set on Facebook Marketplace, and I'd be like, oh, like I want to break that set, grade the Jordans, grade the Magics, all that stuff. But I asked a ton of questions like, can you send me pictures of the corners of the Magic Johnson All-Star card? Well, like I would do all of those things. And good luck to you. But thanks, Ryan, for watching and listening to the show. Let us know if you have any other questions. Last question. Full Beans on YouTube. I thought this was a good one to ask on the show. So Full Beans on YouTube says, just join the Facebook group. But one more question here. This is for F1. So Rob, you might actually know this. I don't know the answer to this, so I'm relying on you guys. But are all Chrome sets? So he's talking about, for context, he's talking about like Topps Chrome F1, just whatever year. Mm-hmm. Are all Chrome sets from the same run? So in other words, if I buy a hobby box and a hobby light box, for example, are they from the same run, or are they different? So if I have like a red out of 5 from the hobby box and a red numbered 1 out of 5 from the hobby box, red numbered 2 out of 5 for the light box. First of all, I'm a lucky ass person. Are they from the same set or are they from 2 different sets of 5? Same set?
Same set. The only difference between the 2 products would be the parallels that are inserted into the boxes.
Love it. Okay. Great
and
stuff.
you are a lucky guy.
Yeah.
Full beans. Yeah. I don't know if you actually have those, but that's your answer. So
could you imagine if there was 2 different sets like that? It would just be chaos.
Yeah, what I will say is there are several, like, especially with Bowman's, like, people will be like, how many out one of ones are there? Like, for instance, I saw a weird stat earlier that's like Pat Mahomes has like 18,000 one of ones or something like that. Like, people, and so there are, like, for instance, you can get a shimmer out of 5, like in a Bowman, you can get a shimmer out of 5 or a sapphire out of 5 and a true out of 5. So, like, there is that as well. So it's like, if you are newer to the hobby, there's not just 5 reds. There's several that are different. And baseball cards have there's super fractors, but then in some sets there's black one of ones. And it's kind of wild. So
yeah, great stuff, guys. I'm really glad that Full Beans asked that because I thought that was the answer, but I just wanted to confirm with 2 other trusted sources. So thanks, guys. All right. And before we sign off for today, I think this is probably the best sports card podcast out there. But what I did want to say is when I go into Target, Walmart, Walgreens, anywhere that may have even
magazines,
Dick's Sporting Goods has cards. So now I'm like, for as much like Victor Wembenyama bidding and Anthony Edwards bidding as I'm doing online, I'm also, now that I'm in the States, like I saw I texted Kendall a picture of this and I think I brought it up on the show, but there's like at the mall in Franklin, Rob, you might have seen this at the mall in Franklin. There's a vending machine with,
oh really? I haven't seen that. No.
Yeah. At Cool Springs Galleria. There's a vending machine with like packs and not hobby boxes, but like blaster boxes and packs and stuff of like ultra modern card, like newer releases, which is interesting. But I would, one thing I had no idea what these were.
Oh Lord.
They're at Walgreens.
Don't do that.
And I thought, why not? They're $5. But I was like,
burning $5.
But I was like, what are they? So you guys may already know this, but they're like
bunch of junk era and a couple packs, I'm guessing.
Already opened, like Pro Set 1989, like Score. And then there's like a couple unopened packs. So like 1990 Score Series 2. And then on the base, and then there's this Sage Football 2022.
You fell for it.
You need to return those and buy a Sports Illustrated for kids from Walgreens.
All right. I love you guys. That's great. I also got a baseball one. And there's all this basically 1988 Don Russ.
Hey, I can actually just send you 1988 Don Russ for $5 if you want.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants any of these cards, email me at paul@nooffseason.com. But that's what they are, everybody. That is what they are. If you thought it was like a new brand of card that was unlicensed, no, it's not. It's just old shit repacked.
Paul, can I do my shameless plug?
Go for it.
So I need a couple more owners for a new fantasy baseball league I'm starting. I need a few more owners. Paul's joining the league as well, so you can compete against both of us. We're doing a lot of unique ideas. We're doing 2 seasons per year. So first season will be April to June, and then the second season will be July to September. So that'll be 2 drafts. It's called Turn 2 baseball. So everything will be 2 of everything. So I need 2 or 3 more owners. If you're interested, send an email to thecardtreasury@gmail.com and I'll get you some more info and send you all the details. But 16 teams, head-to-head points, keepers, minor leagues. It's not too in-depth like a dynasty league, but it's more palatable. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So
which platform?
I'm in.
CBS.
Did we get Lefty in yet?
Yeah, I'm in.
All right. Nice.
You're in? All right. So I still need some more owners, but that's awesome. Yeah, on CBS because
what's the buy-in?
So there will be a $200 deposit, which you'll get back if you stay in the league for a certain amount of time, just to prevent people from joining and bailing. And then every year it's a minimum, or every season, remember we're doing 2 seasons per year, is $50 minimum. But then your entry fee depends on your keepers and your contracts and stuff. So you can actually,
I'm loving the sound of it.
You can be more budget friendly and try to keep your entry fee low and try to win, or you can spend money just like real baseball. So
wow, that's cool.
I'm excited for turn 2 baseball.
Yeah,
it'd be great. So email the card treasury at Gmail. That's where you want people to email.
The card treasury at gmail.com. Yep.
All right. Kendall, anything else you want to add for today's show?
Yeah, I do. I know you love talking about the MLS. And so MLS week 1 is this weekend. There will be real soccer in America. There's a lot of good players that I think will be worth talking about. I know like we have some haters of this show that hate my MLS queue, but their cards are typically moving. And when you looked at the World Cup last year, when you looked at all the people that were rostered in the World Cup, where they were coming from in their leagues, MLS was number 6 in terms of all the count for leagues that were fielding players for the World Cup. I mean, so that's like there's the top 5 leagues that are historically been top 5 leagues, and then which are all European, and then now the MLS is 6th. And then it also, if you look at people in the World Cup, the MLS has sent more players overseas than any other league out there. So like any other league that has Champions League players in it, they're farming from the MLS, which means their first cards will be MLS cards in that situation. So the MLS is really relevant. It's a good brand of soccer. It starts this week. Apple TV actually just they signed last year that Apple TV is going to produce all their games. There's no blackouts, anything like that. So I think the brand of soccer is on its way up, and up the Garys.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah, good point. And you made me think of one other note I had on today's show that I did not mention, which is Full Swing on Netflix.
Yeah.
Awesome show. I've watched just a couple episodes so far, and I'm pretty hooked on it. I'm a big golfer. I don't play as much as I used to when I was a kid, but I love golf. I have not followed golf as closely as an adult as I did when I was a kid, but I'll tell you what, I knew Full Swing was going to get me back into it. It definitely has. And I can see some golf card pricing movement on market movers already from that. So would be interested to hear from the audience in the comments on, are they watching the MLS? Are they going to watch the MLS show? Are they, or the MLS broadcast? Are they going to watch Full Swing? Are they watching like what effects are you all seeing?
Yeah, we haven't really talked about Breakpoint either, which is the tennis version of the F1 show that Netflix did. So
yeah, these shows are very compelling. They're like my mother-in-law loves Full Swing, and she like has nothing to do with sports or sports cards or anything, but like just people.
That's how the F1 boom.
Yeah, I mean that's what got me into F1.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I mean, we know our guy Mike LaCusta from the Golf Card Strategy Show has been super excited about Full Swing for a while now, and like is a massive golf card collector. So just wondering if any of you are getting into buying golf cards because of Full Swing, or anything else. Like to Kendall's point, are you excited about the tennis show or related to MLS or anything like that? So let us know in the comments. But everybody, thanks so much for watching and listening to Sports Card Strategy Show episode 70. I am super excited to be able to do this podcast with all of you. Thanks for your great participation. Rob, not Bob Masora, great job today. Love having you on the show. Check out bobscardmarket.com. Check out Turn 2 Baseball. If you're interested, email thecardtreasury@gmail.com. Kendall Lefty McKee, as always, great work. He represents Wild Cards, Box Breaks, and JustBaseball.com. Everybody, thanks so much. Kendall, I'm forgetting something. What is it?
Cue the rock music, baby!